Good evening, everyone. Time for another silver update. Wanted to spend a little time on the gold chart this evening. Now, I've drawn out the major trend line that we're looking at here, but the main things I wanted to point out, the main story is going to be this. If you've ever heard the trader's term, M for murder and W for winner, usually when you get a W formation, you've got a winning formation, and when you get an M formation, you've got a murder formation. Now, those don't always pan out, but they are interesting, and they often do pan out. So the first thing I've tried to point out here is I've drawn out the W that we formed back at the 2008 bottom for gold. Now, gold is a little bit different than silver because gold didn't take the incredible correction that silver did, and gold started to rally a little bit earlier. But nevertheless, we have this W, a very clear W pattern we see on the chart. And I've drawn another forming W pattern that potentially we may be forming. Let me draw in the other edge of this W, which direction it may go here. So if we get the same sort of W formation, what type of price action are we going to see? Well, the first thing I wanted to point out is you can see that this W here is roughly twice the size of this one. This is a big formation, and unlike silver, gold has actually hit a low that was lower than the one reached in 2008. So gold is already the most oversold it's been in many, many years. Now, the line that I've drawn up here is a critical key crossover of the right shoulder of this W. And I've drawn a line at that point. It's actually at where they match, but the crossover is a little bit later. But you can see I've drawn a line straight up, and that matches roughly with the beginning of this very, very long 3-year uptrend in gold, which is still going on. Now, what is interesting is when we go over to our forming W that we have right here, we've just crossed over on the MACD on this right shoulder of this W. And if we draw the line straight up, we come straight up to this point right here where we touch this trend line. So if this pattern holds, then we should see a rise of gold, but based on the size of the W, possibly at a much steeper ascent. So we may end up with a line, instead of this line that goes up like this, something that goes more like this on the angle, if that's what we're looking at. So that's just a best guess. It does look like a W is forming now, and gold is still very oversold, but has just crossed up. So we'll see if this rally has legs. The other thing you want to notice is that the length of this W starts roughly in July, mid-July, and it ends roughly in January. You can see this one here and begins roughly in the very beginning of August, and it's already gone into January. So it's going to be a wider W as well as taller. So it's going to be a much larger formation, which may portend much higher prices. Now I want to segue over to a correction that I'm going to make. I've been, of course, with the low prices of silver, and let's take a look at the silver chart real quick. With the prices still below $30, it's sort of a can't-lose situation with silver, so you just want to kind of look at keep stacking, and so I'm looking at what bargains are out there. And I've kind of done an about face on this one, partly because of the prices and partly because of the availability. But I had a chance to take a look at this coin a little bit closer up. This is the Wildlife series, and this is available on APMEX. You can see you can get it for 33 bucks right now. That's about $3 over spot, a little bit more. And if you look at the availability, they have a ton. They have at least 10,000 and more. I don't know the scripting tricks you can use to see that, but there's a way to find out exactly how many they have. But I can tell you they have more than 10,000 of these coins. Now, the reason I did an about face on this coin, I said, of course, partly is because of the availability of potential numismatic winners. If you watch my channel, you know that I'm always looking for potential numismatic winners. In other words, coins going forward, ones that have roughly $1 or so premium above what you're paying for eagles or maples, but have the potential of expanding that premium much higher due to rarity and beauty, etc. So that's the kind of play I'm always looking for, and I've changed my mind on this coin. Let me show you why I changed my mind on this coin. Because I got a really good image of this coin, and actually you can get a close-up of this really close, and I'll link this. But when I took a closer look at this coin, especially the detail and just a lot of the detail on the rocks, the detail on the piece of wood that he's on, the detail on his face, it really caused me to have second thoughts. Of course, the first second thought I had was when I saw how many are available and how little above spot they are. But then when I saw this, so I'm going to do about face on this coin. I think I'm probably going to pick up some myself. And I think this is a very, very good bet. One of the best I've seen for a potential numismatic play going forward. Now, the other one that I wanted to go to is the Somali elephant. I've been covering that quite a bit. The last one I purchased was the 2011. I think that I recommended the 2012 as a good deal, and I think they all disappeared. The Dragon Privy one is there, but the standard 1 ounce is not available right now. It's sold out. But they do have the 1 ounce 2011. Now, this is a little bit high. I don't think it was this much. There's 319 left. I don't think it was $6.99 when I bought them. I think the price of silver was 28 or so, and I got mine for $32.50. I think I paid $4.50 or $5 above spot when I picked up mine. But still, the thing I wanted to point out here is when you go back here, this series has been around for a while, and now a lot of people are going to say, well, you can't go by what APMEX is charging. Well, actually, it's a good indication that APMEX thinks they can get these prices that they are charging them. So you can see the 2010, there's 9 of them, and they're charging $69.99. The 2009, there's 13 of them. They're charging the same. The 2008 is out of stock, so people are paying that. We got $75 for the 2007. There's 12 of those left. The 2006 is out of stock. The 2005 is $159.99. There's 11 of those. So that must be a really rare one. There's 35 of the 2004. So you can see that these seem to gain a very good numismatic premium going forward. So I'm going to go ahead and recommend as a secondary the 2011 1 ounce, even though $6.99 above spot is pretty expensive. It's going to be hard to resist this cougar when you're talking about only $3 above spot. So I think that I'm going to take it back what I said about this coin. I think this is going to be a really good play going forward, and I think that $33 for this coin is just a steal. So let's go over to the blog roll. There's a lot to cover. I wanted to point out again that you can go to my YouTube channel by going to About and clicking on the banner there. It'll take you to my YouTube channel. If you're on my YouTube channel, if you go up to the banner at the top that says Silver for the People, click here for the blog. You click on that, it'll go straight to the blog. If you don't remember, you can just type in Brother John F. and Google, and it'll find first my YouTube channel, and then it'll find this blog. Now, the top story I've got here was one that just posted. It is Doug Casey talking about getting out of Dodge, and he's getting real serious about getting out of the country. So that speaks for itself. There's an interview I found with Eric Sprott, and again, Eric Sprott is going over the point that he keeps hammering home, that people are buying silver dollar for dollar as they're buying gold, and that just can't go on. It's impossible. I put up Vision Victories, or Victory Independence, he's the same guy, but I put his must-watch video. It actually came out in 2010, but it's really relevant now because the price is similar to where it was then. It's a little bit higher, but the facts of why silver is going to be such an incredible shortage, that it is the most incredible investment in the history of the world. He really lays out all the facts, so that's a must-watch, even though he calls it a Cadillac converter and said there's silver in it, even though that's palladium, so you got to forgive him for that. A lot of people bashed him for that. Honest mistake. This is a three-part series. I actually got this from the Bernie Madoff channel. You can go there if you click on the videos. This is, I believe, the real Bernie Madoff, and he sits around and posts a lot of important videos. So this is a three-parter on the Eurozone on the brink. It was put out by the Wall Street Journal, but it's good. I've added the Hyper Report. He's just a really fast talker, and he covers some really important stuff. If you want to get a quick summary about what's going on, you should watch the Hyper Report. An interview with James Turk. This is actually from RT, and it's fairly long. It's 30 minutes long, so it's a good video and very well done. The newest dollar vigilante, and that's a guest, Chris Horlocher, that did that. There is the full interview with Chris Hedges. If you remember, I posted part one. It was only about 15 minutes. Someone had linked on Zero Hedge. Someone gave the link out for C-SPAN, which goes to the full 3-hour interview with Chris Hedges. He's kind of on the left-hand side of things, but he is very opposed to what's going on in this country, so that's highly recommended that you watch that. Here's an interesting one about how, as sales are up, supply is slipping. This is taking some information from SRS or SR Sirocco. I'm not sure how you pronounce that name, but it's by Steve St. Angelo. And if anybody knows a site for SR Sirocco, I would like to know where he's at, or where you get his information directly. There's a King World News interview with John Embry. He's saying that gold is never going to touch $1,500 again. The latest Simon Black, and he's giving you some good suggestions on where to go if you do take Doug Casey's advice and get out of Dodge. There's the latest Jim Sinclair, and he covers the negativity and the negative sentiment on gold. There's, of course, the Patriot Radio News Hour. This is a video from DaVinci J15 where he calls out David Morgan for saying there's no silver shortage. A very interesting perspective. He likens it to the Madoff Ponzi scheme and points out that in the early stages, when only a few people were getting their money out, by that definition, then it wasn't a Ponzi scheme. So watch that. Very interesting point. Interview Kerry Lutz. I'm going to start adding these. I got these from the Silver Shield, but Kerry Lutz is very interesting, and he's interviewing Bill Murphy here of GATA. There's the big bomb that Bill Gross dropped today about the financial market implosion and the end of economic life as we know it. And there's the 2012 predictions of a mad tinfoiler. That's from Mark Slavo. He's from the shtfplan.com. Article that I pulled off the news wires, and I just happened to notice when I was reading it that the three parties were MF Global, JP Morgan, and Goldman Sachs in the financial shenanigans that went on. So I took a picture of the three-headed Cerberus dog from hell to represent them. And from last night, there's a video where these guys caught a Republican Party hack in Iowa admitting that they were very interested in rigging, if not outright admitting they rigged the caucus against Ron Paul because they did not want Ron Paul to win it. And then there's a video of the technical glitch where a soldier's being interviewed and he's supporting Ron Paul, and he's about to say that we shouldn't start nitpicking wars with other countries. Someone like Iran, Israel is more than capable, and that's where it cut off. So he was going to say Israel is more than capable of defending herself, but this is obviously censored due to technical difficulty. So that gives you an idea of how controlled your news media is. This is really hardly even worth listening to anymore. What we're doing right now on YouTube is really, and on the blogs, is the new news media, and these dinosaurs like CNN are pretty much irrelevant. So that's the blog roll. The main message today is that gold is in a bull market. It continues to be in a bull market, and it looks like it is forming the beginning stages of this W, which may lead to a spectacular type of bull run going forward. And we'll talk to you next time.